So, I don't usually concern myself with big YouTuber drama. After all, if somebody is the most subscribed YouTuber on the planet, making any content of any kind, especially critical of it, is going to get attention. So most of the criticism is probably going to be attention-seeking. However, when I realised that this claim from Dogpack404, supposedly a former employee, relates to cubing, I was a bit more interested. So he's made 2 videos claiming he's a fraud and claiming he's a sociopath. However, in this video, he talks about the challenge which involved 100 cubes, the 100 boys versus 100 girls challenge.
And because so many of the female contestants were MrBeast employees who got out immediately, production stepped in to actually make the results of the challenge closer. You can actually see some of this happen on camera, like when Jimmy pays one of the boys 10.
And of course, yes, I would take £10,000 and leave the challenge in that circumstance, as would
$1,000 to leave, which is twice as much as the actual prize money, but doesn't make the same offer to the girls.
The boys were blowing you out of the water. I paid the one guy who knew how to solve them to leave. Now if you don't win, that was all for nothing.
At another point he gives...
Now, is this fair? Probably not. Is it illegal? No, it's not illegal because YouTube isn't regulated and YouTube is a free platform. And on the most part, I think that's a good thing. And I worry about too much regulation on YouTube. Like channels that are deleted when they shouldn't be. Oh, obviously there's got to be some element of regulation, but like free speech is free speech. Now let's watch the actual clip in the actual video itself, the whole bit, because I think there's a bigger problem related to this, in that supposedly only one person from each group knew how to solve
100 Rubik's Cubes, and in front of the boys is 100 Rubik's Cubes.
It's a race to see which team can solve all the Rubik's Cubes first.
Well, whichever team loses gets their circle cut in half.
I don't even know how to do it.
Solve the white side and then he can solve the rest.
We didn't realize.
White side and then he can solve the rest.
We didn't realize.
Solve the white side and he can solve the rest. Yeah, I think that's a very, very bad strategy. And here's why. If somebody gave me a cube with just the white side solved, not even the white layer, I reckon there's a pretty good chance I wouldn't even use the white side, because the cross probably wouldn't be positioned correctly. If the white layer was solved, then sure, I'd just solve the second layer and do OLO and PLO. But if the white layer wasn't, if the layer around it wasn't solved, if just the white side was solved, I'll probably just pick another cross colour and start from there. So it would just be counterproductive.
Until this competition started, that only one boy
Oh, they're literally handing it to him.
and only one girl actually knew how to solve a Rubik's Cube.
Now this is the lie, as we can see. And I'm more concerned about this than the supposed unfairness of it. Because yeah, it's a bit unfair, but that's what people do all the time. That's what teachers do at school. They give people like handicaps and they make it more fair because one person's better than the other, but it's got to be fairer.
Out of all these guys, he's the only one that learned how to solve Rubik's Cubes.
And he stayed. Oh, I'm not leaving.
And while the teams are solving these Rubik's Cubes, I want to tell you about Current. The first one's done! Only 99 more to go.
Current is the mobile banking.
2 days in advance.
Since the boys were getting way ahead of the girls, I decided to make things interesting. We're gonna offer the one guy in there that knows how to solve them $10,000 to leave right now.
I love how he's still solving. We got 10 grand right here. You can just walk out the circle.
Do it. I'm out.
It's 10 grand. I would leave.
10K.
The boys were blowing you out of the water. I paid the one guy who knew how to solve them to leave. Now if you don't win, that was all for nothing. So win for me.
You're almost halfway done. The girls are still losing.
Current is helping me give away $25,000. 100 of you will win
Every single one of you that installed Current and used this. Every single one of you that installed Current and used this.
Now, is this manipulation as well? Considering most of his viewers probably aren't old enough to get a Current account? And many probably aren't eligible if they're not in the US. I don't know how widespread current is. I don't really care. I'm not interested in it right now. If I am, I will do my own research instead of listening to MrBeast. And I would urge other people to do the same, really. Unless Current wants to sponsor my channel, which is very, very unlikely.
This code right here when you sign up. So if you haven't already, click the link in the description and download Current right now.
Give me another one. I can do that again.
Go faster, Zeke. You're making me mad.
This is the last Rubik's Cube. Bro, he's shaking. I really hope the girls just miraculously catch up. Oh my God! Oh my God!
So somehow, they just managed to solve 50 cubes without anyone who knew how to solve a cube. Now, that's not how cubing works. A cube has 43 quintillion, over 43 quintillion possible combinations. You don't just figure it out randomly, especially with no resources, considering all these boys are in a circle on their own with no resources. Because that's the whole point of the challenge, supposedly. So, apparently, they all just solved these cubes. Now, that is probably faked in some way or another. And he claims he doesn't fake his videos. Well, I think we've just proven that. However, I would address, it is kind of inevitable. And the way YouTube is, you're vying for people's attention in a way like never before. Children's attention span is so short that most children wouldn't be listening anymore. They would have clicked on this video, watched a few minutes, got bored, and if you're still here, well done. And why not watch to the end? And then you can watch something else. It doesn't matter. Just give people the chance to watch their videos. But yes, you need clickbait. And I do question, well, what's the limit here? I mean, even my own sponsor, Daniel Kidd, I think I mentioned it to him before. Is this okay to make it seem that he's solving a giant cube that's bigger than himself when he went to Glasgow Spring and tried out my giant cube that I have unofficial world record on? Is that clickbait? Because the cube obviously isn't actually bigger than him. In fact, the scale is probably reversed to the thumbnail. But I guess that's what you have to do these days. Is it great? No, but it's kind of what's necessary. So, if you want to learn how to solve a cube, so that if you are ever in one of these MrBeast videos, that Dogpack makes very clear that you will never be in his video unless you're friends of his employees or whatever and live in North Carolina, because apparently he very rarely flies anyone out. Yeah, that's probably true. I mean, why would he pay to fly people out when he can just find people in the local community in North Carolina? It's much cheaper. That just makes sense, really. But if you want to learn how to solve a cube, in case you're ever in a situation where you need to and could win $10,000 to be taken out of a circle and not have to stay in a circle for another day, you can learn at speedcubing.org, where you can also buy a huge range of twisty puzzles, from normal 3x3s of all different shapes and sizes, to mirror cubes, basketball cubes, weird dinosaur puzzles, very, very big cubes, 8x8 plus. There's a huge range of different sized and different shaped cubes for you to try at speedcubing.org. Now, if you've got this far, there is of course one thing that makes me more angry with MrBeast than all this video faking, which is just a bit of nonsense really, is his supposed charity stuff. Now, sure, he's probably building 100 houses. Sorry, my YouTube's in Spanish, but anyway. Building 100 houses and giving them away. Now, yeah, this is probably great for a few people in these countries. However, the Bible says Therefore, when thou doest thine alms, so that's Old English for when you give to charity, do not sound a trumpet before you, as the hypocrites do, in the synagogues and in the streets, that they may have glory of men. Verily I say unto you, they have their reward. Of course, in Jesus' day, you could, like, the hypocrites could stand up and say, oh, look at me, I'm giving this amount to this poor person, or to the temple, or to a charity. And maybe a few hundred people would notice. Now, 198 million know that he constructed some wells in Africa. And many hundreds of millions of people have watched all his other videos. The hypocrisy there is far, far larger than it could ever be. In Jesus' day, 100 people could see. Now, 100 million can see. And they have their reward. Yes, the reward is the attention. And, of course, the Bible talks about a heavenly reward that is completely different to the earthly reward. But, obviously, if you want to discuss that, I'm open to, with legitimate people who are genuinely interested. However, I think that's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. It's a bit of a strange video for me to make, but here it is. Thanks for watching. Please like, comment, share and subscribe.